The 2024 NFL Draft is complete, and we're going to take a look at some of the top plays from all 9 of the Eagles draft picks here this spring. And we're going to start with the first-round pick, Quinyon Mitchell. You can see him here in off coverage at the top of the screen. And this is what we saw a lot from Quinyon over the course of his career, his ability to break on the football and find it, get it on the ground, or take the football away. And what I thought I'd do to kind of structure this conversation about all 9 of these draft picks is pick 3 traits about every guy and why that makes them a great fit here in Philadelphia. And I think with Quinyon, the big thing you want to start off with is instincts. And you saw that there on that one, his ability to jump routes from off coverage. And you see the same thing here. You can see most of his reps come from great depth. He played a ton of off coverage where he's just kind of sitting there and able to read everything that's in front of him and jump routes. And this one he takes back to the house. It was just a couple drives later. He did the same exact thing on the opposite side of the field. They went to him a handful of reps there. He was targeted a handful of times in that game. He came away with 4 interceptions. Just an outstanding performance that game against the NIU Huskies back in 2022. But those were all quick game routes, right? Everything that happened within 5, 6, 7 yards. One of the things that I love, though, about top flight corners is their ability to break on routes. I'll say at the intermediate level, we'll say between like 8 and 15 yards. You can see you've got your 2 first down markers there at the top of the screen. I want to see, how do you react when you've got a dig route? How do you react when you've got a comeback or you've got a deep curl? Something where it's not just a flat foot, everything's in front and you break on the football, but where you've got to get into your pedal and then react to an intermediate route. And you can see that Quinyon Mitchell, he's got the ability to match routes with great efficiency at that depth. He's starting here. He's reading the body language of the receiver. It's going to be a deep comeback route, and just watch. It's like these two players are tied at the hip. As soon as this receiver drops his weight, drops his pads, look at Quinyon and how he matches that body movement. He puts his foot in the ground, gets his eyes back to the football, and picks it off. Just an outstanding play there from Quinyon Mitchell. This is a 2-time All-American. 37 pass breakups the last 2 seasons, 6 interceptions the last 2 seasons, extremely productive on the football, and his instincts, his play recognition, a big part of that. And we saw those in single coverage, that ability to just kind of react when you're looking at one wide receiver and you've got to react on his route. But how about when you're reading multiple receivers coming at you at once and you're playing an off-zone coverage? This is Quinyon Mitchell. They're playing a form of quarters coverage to that side of the field. So Quinyon, he's responsible for this quarter. The safety, he's responsible for this quarter. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to run a vertical route at Quinyon Mitchell and release it into the post. They're hoping that Quinyon will follow that route into the middle of the field, and then behind it, they're hoping to get a little sail route, hopefully to score at the near pylon. They're hoping that Quinyon cheats so far inside that this sail route will be wide open. But watch how quickly Quinyon sees, no, you're not getting this on me. That outside receiver is breaking to the post. He reads this route from the sail, and now see how quickly he breaks on the football. He forces the incompletion. It's out of bounds. That team's got to settle for a field goal. Love those kind of heads-up plays there from Quinyon Mitchell. And this one was one of my favorites. We're going to go back quickly to the scoreboard so you can get a sense of the situation. Toledo's up by 1. You've got less than a minute remaining. It's 4th and 17. So this is a gotta-have-it play for both sides. If Toledo can get a stop, that's ball game. Bowling Green, if they're able to get a conversion here, they keep it alive, and they're going to try and see if they can get a game-winning field goal. This is Quinyon Mitchell at the bottom of the screen. And what you've got here is the receiver on the inside. He's going to be running out to the outside before he runs a dig route. This is what you call a dagger concept. You've got 2 clear out routes from the 2 outside receivers. They're trying to lift coverage and create a big void in the middle of the field. And then you're going to run that number 3 receiver right into that void. Watch Quinyon Mitchell and how quickly he reads this play. And again, this is crunch time. 1-point game, game on the line, 4th quarter, rivalry game. As soon as he sees that route break, he knows exactly what's happening, and this is where you see that burst to close really show up with Quinyon Mitchell. The ball is not yet out of the quarterback's hands. Mitchell reads this so well, jumps in front of the route, nearly picks it off. This would have been a walk-off pick 6 for Quinyon Mitchell. It would have been a ridiculous interception, but he'll be happy with the PBU there. Outstanding play, great heads-up play there from Quinyon Mitchell. And you saw this time and time and time again. This was this past season, but you go back to 2022, and you just see those kind of heads-up plays from Quinyon Mitchell repeatedly. But it's not just about instincts, because that also takes us to his competitiveness. And look, there's a lot of ways that a DB can show competitiveness. Sometimes it's making those plays in crunch time like we just talked about. Other times it's about playing downhill against the run game or against the screen game. And I thought Quinyon consistently showed up in that area as well. You need your corners to be able to make tackles like that in today's NFL with jet sweeps and bubble screens and RPOs, those quick hitting throws being so prevalent in today's game. You need a corner to come down and be a physical presence there on the perimeter. Quinyon Mitchell certainly brings that. But also, like I said, competitiveness can show up in a number of different ways because this is a position that it's not always pretty. So sometimes you're going to get turned around in coverage, but are you willing to battle? Are you going to fight until the ball is down on the ground? Even if you do give up a catch, how do you respond? Well, here you can see it's a double move. They're trying to sucker Quinyon Mitchell into jumping a route early, and then they're going to try and see if they can hit him on the double move downfield. Look at how Quinyon never gives up on this rep. He's able to get his eyes back to the football, did an outstanding job. You see a lot of college corners, they're going to face guard here, and they're going to try and play through the receiver's helmet. They're going to try and draw a flag there. Quinyon Mitchell gets his eyes back to the football in that situation. That speed, there's no panic whatsoever with his game. Love those plays there. This is against Buffalo, a big-time play from Quinyon Mitchell. So talk about a lot of off coverage, but the question with him was, oh, well, can he play press? And this was a play from 2022, and I remember watching this back last summer. And again, you're seeing Quinyon Mitchell, a lot of depth, a lot of off coverage. And so, oh, well, can he play that press man coverage? Well, there are times where you could see on film the skill set is there, but within the structure of this Toledo scheme, he just wasn't asked often to play up close to the line of scrimmage. This is a vertical route at the bottom of the screen where Quinyon, he's going to have to turn and run. And now this is basically replicating press man coverage. He's hip to hip with the receiver. It's going to be a foot race down the left sideline. And you can see that he's going to make sure he presses his man to the sideline. And this is what is called look and lean. You're going to lean that outside arm on the receiver. You're going to look back to find the football. The football is already mid-flight, and you can see that Quinyon, he's going to stay in the hip pocket of that receiver, and he makes a play on the football. There are only a couple examples of this in Toledo's film, but for me, seeing a play like that, I said, okay, this guy can play press man coverage. He just was not asked to do it all that often, but at 6 foot with reported 4.3 speed at that point, so, okay, the skill set is definitely there, especially when you show this kind of feel for playing the football down the field. And again, you can just see right there, there's no panic whatsoever with Quinyon Mitchell, really natural feel for playing the football down the field at all 3 levels. So, great job there from Quinyon. But you still want to be able to see, what does he look like in press man? Well, you go down to the Senior Bowl, and here he is. It's press man situation. He spent the entire week in one-on-ones up on the line of scrimmage. He knew what the knock was on him. So, all right, let's see how he does in these one-on-one situations. This is exactly how you teach it. And again, going back to that last clip against Eastern Michigan, that's a ball down the left sideline, against Western Michigan rather. That's a ball down the left sideline. It's exactly what you're looking for. It's the same exact body movement, the same exact technique. He gets hip to hip with the receiver, look and lean, find the football. He's all over that route. That happened on day 1 against Arizona wide receiver Jacob Cowing. And I said, okay, let's see if he can keep doing it here throughout the course of the rest of the week. Let's see how he does against some of the other really good receivers there at the Senior Bowl. And this is Roman Wilson, one of the best wideouts at the game in Mobile. And these guys took a ton of reps against each other on the second day of practice. And you can see Quinyon Mitchell, same exact deal. It's a stutter go, a double move. Look at the fluidity for a 6-foot corner. Look at the top end speed. Again, no panic. Look, lean, smothers this route. And you can see it really great here from the field camera, from the ground level. Look how well he's able to stay in the hip pocket of Roman Wilson, and he's able to get his eyes back to find the football. He ends up on the ground. It's not the prettiest rep, but just a great play there from Quinyon Mitchell in the Senior Bowl. A lot of reasons to love his film. Now, let's go to the second round and Cooper DeJean. And honestly, it's a lot of the same things you could say about Cooper DeJean in terms of speed, toughness, and instincts, the ability to find the football, the ability to be competitive in every facet. Well, here you've got Cooper DeJean here at the top of the screen. They played a lot of zone coverage in that system, but they played a lot of single coverage as well. So you got to see him one-on-one against receivers on a routine basis. It wasn't always man, but you still saw plenty of single coverage reps from Cooper DeJean. And this one, you really see his smoothness come to play. And that's really the first trait I want to hit on, is his smoothness and his playmaking ability. This is a route where it's going to be an outbreaking route. And what did we say earlier with Quinyon Mitchell? love to see how you react to those routes at the intermediate area of the field. Everybody can make plays in the quick game. Do you have that ability to react, especially if you're a little bit out of position? Because here, he's playing with outside leverage, the receiver's working inside, and then he puts on the brakes and he breaks to the outside. So Quinyon's going to have to make an athletic move here to turn, pirouette, and try and see if he can make a play at the catch point. He does a great job of matching this route, gets his eyes back to the football, and punches it out at the catch point. That's a big-time play there from Cooper DeJean. But you still saw the ability to also make plays on throws in front of him as well. Here's the receiver that Cooper DeJean's lined up on. And again, it's like synchronized swimming when you watch how quickly he's able to read this route. It's one-on-one coverage, and look at how quickly he is able to break on this throw. He sees what the receiver's trying to do. As soon as he puts his outside foot in the ground to break inside, look at Cooper DeJean. He matches the route perfectly. He gets to the catch point. The ball's up high in the air. If this is a better throw, he's probably stepping in front of this for an interception, but he's in position there. Outstanding coverage and off man from Cooper DeJean. Now, we're going to go back to the Combine. This is Quinyon Mitchell. When we got to see Quinyon Mitchell at the Combine in Indianapolis, we didn't see Cooper DeJean. He was still coming back from an injury, but you can see this is actually one of my favorite drills. I love the DB positional workout at the Combine. I think it's really one of the better ones in terms of replicating what guys are asked to do out on the football field. But just watch the technique here from Quinyon Mitchell, and we're going to get this and apply this to Cooper DeJean. But he's in his pedal. He's got to open up his hips, and then he's got to put his foot in the ground and break at a 45-degree angle towards the sideline and make a play on the ball. Again, we got to see Quinyon. He had a great workout in Indianapolis. We didn't get a chance to see Cooper DeJean at the Combine. So you got to go back to the film and say, all right, well, some of these drills that we put them through at the Combine, do they show up on tape? Here's Cooper DeJean against Wisconsin. Watch the technique here. Watch what he's asked to do against this route. He opens up in his pedal, really clean feet, flips his hips, put his foot in the ground, break at a 45, force the incompletion. Outstanding job there on 1st and 10 to get the ball on the ground there from Cooper DeJean. And it's, again, you see these athletic plays show up on tape time and time again from Cooper DeJean. So there's the athletic portion with DeJean. Now let's get into the instincts and some of the same things we talked about with Quinyon Mitchell earlier. Now, you see Cooper DeJean, he's up on the line of scrimmage. It's press coverage, but they are playing a form of quarters coverage where, again, Cooper DeJean is responsible for this quarter. This safety is responsible for this quarter. But what happens here is that this receiver runs a shallow crossing route. So rather than Cooper DeJean run with that receiver, he's going to pass him off to the safety. So the safety is going to pick him up. Cooper DeJean is going to drift back, and now he's got to look for work. And what he's going to understand here is, all right, well, Rutgers, they're not just going to run this receiver off. They're going to try and send somebody else into this area. So watch Cooper DeJean's eyes here. He sees that over route coming from the number 3 receiver, immediately drifted into where he expected that ball to be thrown, and then watch the play from DeJean. Outstanding play, looking in over the shoulder, great interception, but here's the thing with Cooper DeJean. When the ball is in his hands, the play is never done. He catches this ball just shy of midfield, now becomes a punt returner. He had a bunch of return touchdowns, three pick sixes in his career. This is one of them. He had a punt return touchdown this past season as a junior. He had another one come off the board due to a penalty. This was an All-American, a Thorpe Award finalist, one of the best playmakers, a great legitimate punt returner in college. This was a heads-up play as a corner, one of my favorite plays of any corner in the draft class this season. Look at the play on the ball there from DeJean. And again, the play is not done once the ball is in his hands. He's always got that playmaking ability, and he showed that in high school. He showed it in college. That is a big-time play from Cooper DeJean. Now, one of the things I wrote down about DeJean over the course of watching him on film is he lives on the island where bubble screens go to die. And you can see a great example of that here is he's going to jack up this receiver. This receiver is going to stalk block Cooper DeJean. He's 6'1.5", 200 pounds. This is one of the bigger corners and one of the strongest corners I've ever evaluated. Look at how he completely controls this block from start to finish. He jacks up the receiver, throws him into the running back, and gets him down on the ground. That play is made solely by number 3. DeJean is outstanding out in the perimeter, defeating screens, finding the ball in the run game. He's a great tackler, and we're going to see that here on a couple of other plays as well, as his physicality shows up time and time again. This is last year as a sophomore. You can see DeJean lined up in the slot. This is a ball that's going to go to now an NFL running back, Chase Brown. Ironically, Eagles' twin brother, Sidney Brown. This is his brother here. Is going to catch the ball in the flat. Look at DeJean. And Chase Brown is not a small running back. He's going to run right through him. Great tackle. We're going to see Roman Wilson, the wide receiver from the Michigan Wolverines. He's going to catch an out route. Here's DeJean. And again, you could just see the ferocity with which he plays with, the competitiveness that consistently shows up with everything that Cooper DeJean does. He's an extremely physical defensive back, and you can see the intimidating presence he brought to the boundary for that Iowa defense. So again, going back to Cooper DeJean, what are the three traits? It's that smooth playmaking ability, the instincts in coverage, and the toughness and competitiveness. They all consistently show up with him when you watch him on film. Now, let's get to the third-round pick, Jalyx Hunt from Houston Christian. We got a couple plays here from Houston Christian. And again, what stands out about him is his athleticism, and that pops as soon as you watch him. It's a converted safety, 6'3" 3/4", 250 pounds. And just watch a guy that big to move the way he does. Watch how explosive he is off the edge here as he's able to close. He's unblocked. All right, he's unblocked in this play, but he is so explosive, so violent, so sudden when he comes off the ball and is asked to close. And he also can turn the corner as well. Here he is here. He's going to wipe the hands away from the offensive tackle and watch the flat angle he's able to take to get home to the quarterback. So you see the traits right away. This is a converted safety, making the move to edge. He's only been playing out there for a couple of years at that position, so he's still a little bit raw, a little bit unrefined. What is he going to look like when he goes to an all-star game setting? Well, we got to see him at the Senior Bowl this past January, and here he is here. This is in the game. He's lined up against, you can see Roger Rosengarten was a second-round pick. You've got a couple other draft picks here on the interior, and you're going to see that he's going to win with an inside move and force a QB hit there on Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman. And you see the athleticism there, that ability to win. When he's got a two-way go where he can win inside or outside, he's got that ability to win just off his athletic tools alone. Outstanding athleticism there from Jalyx Hunt. Now, it's not just about his physical tools and his ability to win with his feet. It's not just that with Hunt, because you also have his length. And that's the second trait I really wanted to bring to the forefront here. He's got outstanding length, 34 3/4 and 3/8 inch arms for Jalyx Hunt. And he puts it to good use, because when you are that explosive and you can use that length to your advantage to go speed to power. And that's the thing, is off that second step, as soon as he puts that right foot in the ground, he is going to convert from that speed rush to power. And this is against Maryland tackle DJ Glaze. He gets inside Glaze and puts him back into the pocket. We saw this repeatedly over the course of the week of practice. Here he's going up against the Texas tackle Christian Jones. And again, he's going to put his foot in the ground and he's going to use speed to power. And that's when you've got that combination of length with explosiveness. That's a rare skill set to have. And then you pair that with his play personality. This is a guy that plays like every single play like it's his last. You go right through all of the old sayings there. He plays like his hair's on fire. You can see the athleticism, but then watch the motor. And this is in practice. This is day one of practice down at the Senior Bowl. Look at the effort, nonstop. He's still in full-on sprint. He runs the arc there completely and chases this ball. He's right here as the ball gets whistled down there, down the field. So Jalyx Hunt, you're talking about great physical tools with his length and with his explosiveness, but also his play personality. There's a lot to love there with Jalyx Hunt and the skill set he brings to the table. Now let's get to the fourth round, or one of the fourth round picks here in Will Shipley. You can see him here. He's the 127th pick in this draft. And the first thing we're going to start with is his receiving ability. And they're going to run him right down the seam here from the backfield. He was used in a lot of ways in that Clemson passing game. Moved all around the formation. He ran routes from the slot. He ran routes from out wide. He was always a really consistent pass catcher. You see him here making plays down the field. That's designed specifically to go to Will Shipley. Here, he's more of a check down option. He's still going to release vertically down the field, but he's late in the progression for the quarterback. And there were plenty of examples of screen plays and little Texas routes. He's an outstanding route runner underneath, but his ability to finish on the ball, and again, this is late in the progression. The quarterback is working this side of the field, and once he sees that everything's here, he doesn't like any of these options, he said, all right, I've got my running back, Will Shipley, leaking down the sideline, and just watch the reception here from Shipley. Full extension, pulls this in and gets, I think, this counts as a touchdown here for Shipley. Just a big-time catch from the then sophomore running back there in Will Shipley. And honestly, watching him in space, that's where he is at his best. And you can see him here in the backfield. This is going to be a typical run play. This goes 31 yards against North Carolina. When you see a lot of running backs in college especially, when they get up to the second level, their eyes immediately start trying to find who's the defender that I have to make miss, and they start going right towards that defender. With Shipley, he plays like he's got 3 sets of eyeballs because he's always looking for green grass, and then he's setting up defenders for failure. You can see there's a DB coming from this side of the screen. Shipley sees him, and he finds a way to find the cutback. He sets guys up for failure consistently. He makes guys miss out in space at a really high level, and then he's got also the understanding of angles to know, all right, this is a guy that I can make sure that I can beat if I'm going to be forced into a foot race. Here is a good example of it. He's one-on-one with the safety here. And again, a lot of backs, they might say, all right, I'm going to push this vertically and try and make him miss in a phone booth. Instead, Shipley has the understanding, you know what? I've got the angle here. I'm going to just challenge this guy to a foot race, and we'll see if he's faster than me. Honestly, very often, Shipley is a guy that runs faster than the guy that's chasing him. And he steps through the arm tackle, and he goes there for a touchdown. Back in 2022, when he was a sophomore, Will Shipley was first-team All-ACC as a running back, as an all-purpose weapon, and as a return specialist. This was actually his last collegiate game this past year against Kentucky in the bowl game. He's a great kick returner. He's got a couple of touchdowns to his resume as a return man, and this is a 60-yard return in his final game. Again, most juniors who declare for the draft typically don't play in the bowl game, but Shipley did an outstanding job on this return. He bust this for a huge play, getting him into opposing territory. He's got some good blocks out in front, but a lot of that was set up by Shipley pressing the hole and then busting this outside. Great job by Shipley on that play. And again, what he does in space is really what stands out most to me about his game on film. Now we're going to go to Ainias Smith, 5th-round pick, 152nd overall, just over 5'9", 190 pounds. And the first thing with him, at that size, he's really tough. And if you're going to be a slot receiver in the NFL, you need to have a level of toughness to your game. And that toughness manifests itself in a number of ways. You're going to get a quick slant route here to Ainias Smith in the middle of the field. If you're running into the teeth of the defense, you can see there's 3 white jerseys right there. He comes up with this catch and takes a hit from a linebacker in the middle of the field. You see this consistently with Ainias Smith, is his ability to play through contact, especially after the catch. And you're going to see another example here. This time, it's going to be running a skinny post where he's lined up in the slot, and he's going to work right up the hash marks. Again, kind of dealing with contact here at the catch point. He sits down, he takes a shot at the catch point, he comes up with this football. So all 3 levels, you see that Ainias Smith, whether it's underneath, intermediate area, down the field, he's making plays with the football in his hands. He's making plays through contact, which you love to be able to see, especially for a smaller receiver to play a little bit bigger than that size. And you also get the yards after catch element. And this is Ainias Smith here at number 3 in the slot. He's going to run an out route. And again, this is where the toughness comes into play as well. He's got game-breaking ability. He's quick. He's got some speed to him. But again, he's making a catch, and you can see there's a triangle of white jerseys against Alabama here. You have a feeling they're going to vice me. There's going to be some contact here that I'm going to have to face after the catch. He runs through first contact. He hits the corner. He's able to make that second man miss at the 3rd level, nearly gets in the end zone. He touches out of bounds inside the 5-yard line, but this was one of those plays that got me sitting up in my chair as I was watching Ainias Smith. As you see the toughness, the hands, and then the playmaking ability after the catch, that is a big-time play from Ainias Smith. So you get the toughness, you get the yards after catch, you also get the versatility. We've seen now a lot of these plays underneath. This is Ainias Smith. This is one of his favorite routes to run. He actually got a lot better as a route runner this year as a senior for Texas A&M. This is a little double move from the slot. He was used often as a vertical weapon. This is a great route where he really sells that he's going to the post before working back towards the corner. Really great double move here, wide open for a catch down the field. We've seen him out wide. We've seen him in the slot. We've seen him run underneath. We've seen him run intermediate routes. We've seen the vertical route there. But then also, he was moved into the backfield. He was moved as a wing. You can see him here running the little slide route. We see that play in this Eagles offense. You see lots of different ways that he's able to be used in space, and they like to just find ways to be able to get him the football, get some cheap yards underneath, get the ball into his hands. And so Ainias Smith here gets a nice easy reception, ball's in his hands, and now he's able to go to work. Nice positive play there on first down. And then also, again, he actually used to be a running back, and you can see him here. This was him as a senior, but he was a part-time running back just a couple of years ago down in College Station, and they still ran some of these outside zone plays with him in the shotgun where, again, you're just finding ways to get him the football. He was a great punt returner in college as well, 2 touchdowns as a return man. He was first-team All-SEC last year as an all-purpose weapon. When you're looking at Ainias Smith, this is a playmaker with versatility, yards after catch, and the toughness aspect. Now, let's get to another 5th-round pick in Jeremiah Trotter Jr., the man in the middle for this Clemson defense, a 2-year starter, 2-time All-American, stuffed the stat sheet in a lot of different ways. And you can see, playing downhill, one-on-one, that's Oklahoma drill, old school play there from Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But he's much more than just your old school downhill thumper. He can do a lot more for you on defense. And it really starts with his instincts, his ability to see things really, really fast. And this is a pick 6. He's actually lined up. Let's take a look at this from the sideline angle because you're going to see the instincts that he's got in coverage because he's lined up against the tight end here at number 3, and the tight end is just running a little stick route. And just watch, again, it's almost like one of the corners that we were talking about earlier, watching Cooper DeJean and watching Quinyon Mitchell, how quickly he sees this route break and he just steps in front of it and takes it the other way. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was an extremely productive player in pass coverage. He was consistently getting into passing lanes, and he had 2 pick 6s in his career. This one was against Notre Dame this past season, but he was consistently a pesky defender for opposing quarterbacks in passing lanes, finding ways to get to the football. This is a couple years ago now against Notre Dame, and it gets into one of the other things I love about this guy, and that's his ability to defeat blocks, and he does it in a lot of different ways because this is Joe Alt, top 5 pick, 5th overall pick for the LA Chargers. Watch what Jeremiah Trotter does here. He's going to have to come downhill against a double team, and he's going to go full extension, defeat that block, stay square, get the ball carried to the ground. So that's one way to defeat a block one-on-one. Use your hands. Make sure you defeat the block with your physicality and with your technique. Now you've got him against Miami. And again, you've got another double team that's going to work up to the linebacker level. Well, here he understands, you know what? I don't need to take on this offensive tackle. Watch how quickly he's attacking downhill, and he avoids this block from the right guard, stays square, and he's able to get his hands around the waist of the running back, get him down for a short gain. So you saw that ability to stay square, sidestep the block, and get home. Here again, he's going to be one-on-one with an offensive lineman in the hole, and this time he doesn't sidestep. He actually wins this one with a swing move against the center. This is Trotter Jr. going up against the center. Watch the swim move. You see the quickness, the ability to stay square, find the football. Lots of different ways for him to be able to defeat blocks one-on-one. Here's another example. This one's going to go to the perimeter. This is Trey Benson, who was a day 2 selection for the Arizona Cardinals this spring. He gets out to the outside. Benson's a explosive athlete. He ran in the 4.4s, the 4.3s at the combine. But watch here as Trotter he matches the steps immediately. He's always in lockstep with the running back. And then just watch how he then has great block attention on this guard. You can see that he's stepping laterally to match the running back at first, but then watch his body language as the guard comes off the block. He stays square to the block, says, all right, there's what I got to do to dip my shoulder. He slips and dips past this block, stays square, chases the ball carrier, gets him down behind the line of scrimmage. That's a big-time play. Again, finding different ways to be able to defeat blocks. That was a consistent note there from Trotter watching him. I talked about what he did in the pass game and coverage, always finding the football in the air, but he was also a great blitzer as well. And this was actually his 2nd sack in the Notre Dame game this year. He swims past the running back, gets home for a sack of Sam Hartman, 2 sacks in that game, 13 sacks in the last 2 seasons for Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Now, let's go to our next 5th-round pick, and that is Trevor Keegan. And when you're talking about Keegan, the big thing, his strength, his power, his toughness, and you get all the intangibles with Trevor Keegan as well. He's been the starting left guard for Michigan for the last 3 seasons, and his ability to play in a phone booth is really what kind of sets him apart. And you can see him here where he's just going to win off the ball. It's a double team up to the 2nd level, but Keegan's ability to just win off the ball, latch on to opposing defenders, and get them off their spot, that's where he really shines, and that's where he really stands out. And these are plays over the last couple of seasons with Keegan. Again, he's the left guard. He's one-on-one here. It's basically a power run play from Michigan, and he's working against the nose tackle, and you can just see he's just so tough to move off of his spot. He's so big and so strong. I think there's similarities in the ways that Landon Dickerson is able to win for the Eagles and their offense. That's what he has been, Trevor Keegan, for the Michigan offense over the last couple of seasons. Again, this is going to be an inside zone to the left going up against Ohio State, and you see Keegan's just ability to, at worst, he's going to stalemate defensive tackles, and oftentimes he was moving guys off the ball. This is an offensive line that won the Joe Moore Award as the top line in college football his first 2 years as a starter, and then they were a finalist this past year on their way to the national title. He was credited with 0 sacks allowed this past year, so he was getting the job done in pass protection. This is a block we see often in the Eagles offense as well, where he's going to pull from the left side and he's going to kick out the force player, the defensive end here on the perimeter, and they're just running right behind him. And Keegan, you saw that ability time and time again. And again, with him, it's his play strength, his toughness, and his intangibles. Now, let's get to the next pick, and this is Johnny Wilson, 6th-round pick, 185th selection overall. Now, the big thing with when you're looking at Johnny Wilson, his size and strength stands out. That's the first thing we're going to cover. But also, he's got quickness and he's got route running chops as well. So those are the 3 traits I want to hit on with him. His size and strength, though, that's the big thing you want to see immediately. Now, when you see a big receiver like this, a lot of people want to say, oh, you know, he's got to be a tight end. We're going to get into why that may not be the case moving forward. But watch here, this is straight ISO ball. It's 4th and 1. And they're going to throw a fade. Well, this is a low percentage throw for most receivers, but when you are his size, which is over 6'6 and a quarter, 230 pounds, 35 and a quarter inch wingspan, 84 and a half inch with the total wingspan there for Johnny Wilson, it's flat out, he can make catches that most other guys are not going to be able to make because of his body type, because of how unique his build is. And you can see he goes over the top here. It's a little bit overthrown. He's able to pull this in, get both feet down for the reception along the left sideline. Here, same kind of idea. You can see the same motion. It's going to be a fade route. He plucks this off the DB's head. He's able to look into the cookie jar and take the cookies out without having to take it off the top of the fridge. And you can see how quickly, how natural he's able to go up and high point the football, pluck it in, and take it in to his frame. When you see Johnny Wilson, his size and his stature, that's the first thing that stands out. But he's not some big stiff out in the perimeter that's not going to be able to create his own separation. He actually moves a lot better than you would expect for guys that big. And again, going back to what we talked about with the corners, it's the same thing that applies to receivers. When you have those intermediate routes, when you have those comebacks or those deep curls or those dig routes, how do you separate? How are you able to create separation for yourself? How quickly and efficiently do you get out of those breaks? And when you watch Wilson, his ability to put his foot in the ground and come back, guys that big typically are a little bit leggy. There's a lot of wasted movement, a lot of wasted steps here at this phase. But watch how smooth he is able to get in and out of this break. For a guy that's as big as he is, he's able to get out of there, and then you see the play strength show up because he's taking contact here at the 46-yard line, but watch where he goes down. So you've got the quickness, the ability to win like a small receiver, but then with the ball in your hands, that's where the size and your ability to play as a big receiver comes into play. Here he is at the bottom of the screen, of a similar kind of route here where you're going to get the quarterback rolling out to his left, and watch the route. Watch the quickness. Watch how smooth he is. You would not expect that this receiver running this route is 6'6 and 230 pounds. Watch him sink his weight here at the top of the route. Watch how quick he's able to snap this off and come back to the pylon and then make an outstanding catch, both feet in bounds along the sideline. That is a unique skill for a guy that big to be able to move as smoothly as Johnny Wilson does. And that showed up at the combine. He went 4.52 in the 40-yard dash, 128 inches in the broad. This is a guy that's got explosive traits, and that fluidity, that smoothness, that's unique for a guy that big. But that shows up, again, when you're watching him run routes. We saw it at the Senior Bowl, but there's plenty of it on film as well. This is week 1 last year. I remember watching this game on TV and then going back. It was one of the first games I watched on film from the fall. He's going to run a dig route. This is one of my favorite routes from Johnny Wilson's film because you see everything kind of come into play here. You see the strength because, watch, he's facing a jam. LSU loves to play press man coverage. You're going to see him fight through this jam. So there's the play strength. Then you see the route running skill. You're going to see that he's going to push vertical and then look at the little flash of his eyes, look outside before he snaps this off back inside because that's going to throw this safety off. The safety's overplaying this, thinking it's going to be a corner route, and watch how well he's able to shake that safety off. Run through the press jam, look that safety off, wide open in the middle of the field, pull the ball in with both hands, break a tackle, work the middle of the field. He's getting him across midfield. That's a big-time route, big-time catch there from Johnny Wilson. And here's one more example for good measure where you see the route running prowess really come into play. He's here on a tight split, meaning he's tight to the formation. Nobody's outside of him. So he's got basically a two-way go against this corner who is lined up. Look at where the corner is. The corner is lined up inside of Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson's lined up a little bit further outside the hash. That corner is lined up a little closer to the hash. So Wilson is running a post, which means that this corner is in position to undercut this route. He needs to get this corner off of his spot and try and see if he can get him outside. So watch what Johnny Wilson does. He comes off the ball. First, you just see the explosiveness that he's able to come off at. He is able to eat up a lot of grass and step on the toes of this corner a lot quicker than most guys that big. So he steps up onto his toes, and then watch what he does. He's able to just throw a little bit of sauce at the top of the route here, get that corner to think that he's going to break outside, and you can see the corner, he flips his hips to the sideline. He thinks this is going to be an out-breaking route, but then watch him snap this off, and then you see him explode out of that break. He takes off on the post route. That goes 44 yards. Explosive play there for Johnny Wilson against Boston College, and again, his size, his explosiveness, his quickness, his route running chops, that show up time and time again. Johnny Wilson, a really intriguing prospect. He falls into the late 6th round. The Eagles able to scoop him up. Big-time player in the ACC the last couple of years. Started his career at Arizona State and then made a lot of plays for a team that should have been in the college football playoff a year ago. Now, let's wrap this up with the Eagles' final draft pick, Dylan McMahon, 190th overall. He was the starting center at NC State this past year. And what really stands out about McMahon, his quickness in the run game. He's got the ability to make a wide-ranging variation of blocks here in this offense because of his quickness and his explosiveness off the ball. And here, he's just going to do a little scoop block in the run game, and all he's going to do is just kind of reach this nose tackle. This is going to be a run to the right. Here's the nose tackle. He's got a block. He has to get outside this nose tackle and basically just cut him off from the backside. And so you can see with his quickness, he's able to work in tandem with his guard, cross the face of the tackle, and he's able to help get that block to get that running back off, and it's an explosive run there for the Wolfpack. And that explosiveness, that range shows up a number of times. You can see how nimble he is as an athlete. It showed up at the combine. I mean, this guy ran elite shuttles, elite jumps, one of the best combine workouts from the offensive line group this year. He's able to skate up to the second level and get up to the linebacker, and you could just see that athleticism on display. He's able to get the backer on the ground and help spring that run for a nice gain. And that athleticism, that shows up as well when he makes contact with the defender. And that's one thing, is that this guy is always making contact and latching on. That's the second thing I wanted to drive home. His hands are always able to latch onto the pads of opposing defenders, and then he just takes them for a ride. Again, here's the center. He's going to take on the linebacker here from Miami, and watch the ride he takes him on. He's got to charge him a bus fare for what he's doing to this linebacker. He escorts him out to the sideline. Outstanding job there, and we saw it time and time again here in this UConn game. This was my favorite game I watched of McMahon in my study of him, because you see the range, but you also see the toughness and tenacity, and that's my third trait for McMahon, is this guy is always going a million miles an hour. He's always running his feet on contact. You can see the job he did there against the defensive tackle. You're going to see the same exact thing here. He's so fast off the ball, and this is actually his first year starting at center. He started at left guard. He started at right guard. 44 starts in his career, at least 9 at all 3 interior positions. So you love the position flexibility as well. But again, as soon as he makes contact, he's running his feet. He's trying to torque the defender to the ground. He's always trying to win his one-on-one battles. This is the last rep we're going to show. This is a 9-yard gain, so another explosive run where, again, you see that quickness from the snap to the block, and he's going to run his feet. So those are all 9 draft picks there for the Eagles. A lot to like with this class as a whole. We're going to see how they fare here in Philadelphia this summer.